Only 23 years old, but a criminal history that runs deep. Radar Ian Magwood stands before the court, haunted by personal tragedy, mental health struggles, and a past filled with violence and crime. He makes an emotional plea, accepting full responsibility and begging for one last chance. But will the judge show mercy? Or will justice demand accountability? This is the moment when the courtroom decides, redemption or prison.
Your Honor, representing State of Ohio versus Radarian Magwood, case 24 CR 1101. The defendant is in court represented by counsel, and we are here today for purposes of sentencing. Withdrew his previously entered plea of not guilty and pled guilty to count 1, receiving stolen property, a felony of the 4th degree, and count 2, failure to comply with the order or signal of a police officer, a felony of the 3rd degree. The court deferred sentencing and ordered a pre-sentence report and victim impact statement. Those reports have been completed, and the state is prepared to proceed with sentencing.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, is there any reason not to go forward with sentencing?
No, Your Honor, we're prepared to proceed with sentencing today.
Do you want to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We would just like to ask the court to put Mr. Magwood on community control today. I've had a chance to speak with Mr. Magwood. It seems like he does suffer from quite a few mental health issues. He did have a young daughter who passed away when she was 1 year old in 2020, and he has not fully dealt with that yet. He also does suffer from ADHD and post-traumatic stress disorder. He has been shot previously in the arm before. His dad did pass away from gun violence when his dad was 29 years old. There's a lot that Mr. Magwood hasn't had the opportunity to get the help with. I know he's on probation in Cuyahoga County. I know the court is fully aware of that as well. He is doing the mental health and developmental disabilities unit out there. I do think Lake County probation would greatly benefit Mr. Magwood. I know Lake County's probation department, they meet with clients. They take it very seriously. I think if he had a bit of a more structured environment, Mr. Magwood would hopefully be able to stay out of trouble, get his mental health taken care of. Our office, we do have a social worker. We're more than happy to try to assist Mr. Magwood with getting into any sort of treatment if possible to assist with his mental health. He's willing to do probation in Lake County. He does have reliable transportation. He did also do at one point community-based correctional facility for 4 to 6 months. He is currently, he's done anger management. He did it through a Zoom class. He also currently, he was seeing a counselor. Unfortunately, he does not remember the name of the agency, so I was not able to get documentation. That was on the west side of Cleveland, and that's where he was diagnosed with the ADHD and post-traumatic stress disorder. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Magwood, you have the right to address the court before your sentence. You can say anything you want. Is there anything you want to say at this time?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Let me stand up. Speak up as well. Hey, Your Honor, I would like to take...
Keep your voice up, please. Just keep your voice... No, you can stay seated. It's probably better for the microphone, but keep your voice up.
Hey, Your Honor, I would like to take full responsibility for my action and decision, which terminated and stressed my mother out. Being away from my mother and family and kids was a great open eye. I have 4 beautiful daughters, and one has passed away. Hopefully I get out to make each and every one of them proud. I also appreciate the mercy of the court for allowing me to sit in jail and help me realize that I can be a better man. And I also thank you for letting me, get an opportunity to speak on my behalf. And kids can't come to see me. My father passed away, and I didn't have any guidance to better my life. I got shot over a couple times to where it messed up my arm to the point I can't do a lot of things. I'm also traumatized to the point to where I can't think or speak about my problems to other people. I get bullied and talked about because I can't do certain things or even protect myself. So I ask of you to please give me another chance to show I can be a better person. And amen. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas, got anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
For the state of Ohio, Ms. Alessi?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is recommending 3 years prison in this case. The defendant is only 23 years old and already has a lengthy criminal record, including numerous probation violations. In 2020, he was convicted of carrying concealed weapons, a felony of the 4th degree. He was placed on probation in that case and had numerous probation violations. Again, in 20, the defendant was convicted of domestic violence, a misdemeanor of the 1st degree, endangering children, and unlawful restraint. In 2022, who was also convicted of grand theft of a motor vehicle, felony 4, and a burglary, felony 4, again placed on community control sanctions, had probation violations before being terminated from probation. He was convicted in 2024 in Shaker Heights Municipal Court for a theft, M1, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, another M1, and was on probation to that court when he committed this offense. And then he was also on probation to the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas for an assault F3, which he was convicted on June 17th. Again, he was on community control there when committing this offense. In fact, it was just 7 days after being placed on probation to that court that the motor vehicle used in the commission of this offense had been stolen. In that case, I understand Cuyahoga County is handling the grand theft of the motor vehicle charges, but I think it's worth highlighting those dates as well for this court. Like I said, he's been on probation numerous times. He's been given numerous opportunities, and for offenses similar to this, for theft and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and also for prior offenses of violence. So the state does feel prison is appropriate here. We are asking for the 3 years, 24 months on the failure to comply, and 12 months on the receiving stolen property be run consecutive to one another. The defendant does have credit for 78 days. I spoke with defense counsel, and they agreed to voluntarily forfeit the firearm that was recovered in this case. And then there's the mandatory license suspension on count 2 as well. Thank you.
This court reviewed the pre-sentence report and investigation, considered the facts and circumstances of the offenses involved here, the nature of these offenses. I've considered everything that's been said here today by the defendant, his attorney, the prosecutor. I previously received correspondence from the defendant, and I read that and taken that into consideration. All this is considered by the court in light of the purposes and principles of felony sentencing set forth in 29-2911. Now, as for the factors in 29-2912, the court will note the defendant was driving a stolen car at the time he committed the offense, which makes it more serious. Other factors the court is going to consider pursuant to 29-21-331 listed factors in there that make it more serious, deals with the driving and the flight itself. And in this case, once the defendant got on the freeway, he immediately reached speeds of 113 miles an hour in a posted 60-mile-an-hour zone, so almost twice the speed limit. While he was on the freeway, he was weaving in and out of traffic. He committed multiple moving violations. At one point, the front tire of the vehicle fell off the car. He continued driving on 3 wheels at that point, which caused and created, I should say, significant safety concerns to others that were driving on the road with him. Once he exited the freeway, he's driving in the middle turn lane on Wilson Mills with 3 tires. These are all factors that indicate it's more serious. He also had a gun in the car at the time, which makes it more serious. Nothing makes it less serious. As for recidivism factors, the court, despite only being 23 years old, finds that he has a significant criminal history. I mean, the defendant turned 18 in April of 2019 and got his first conviction a month and a half later, and it's just been continuous since then. Similar types of acts to what he's charged with here as well. He was on probation at 2 different courts at the time he committed this offense. The court also notes, as the prosecutor alluded to, that He was put on probation in Cuyahoga County. A week later is when the car was stolen. He was operating at the time he committed this offense, and then committed this offense within 2 months of being on probation to Cuyahoga County. The court also notes defendant there's a drug abuse problem. Now, I won't say it relates to the offense. I don't think it has anything to do with it, but the defendant certainly has a drug abuse problem in regards to marijuana and denies it. Doesn't consider it to be any issue at all. Violated the conditions of his bond and testing positive and using marijuana while he was on bond. The court also notes that while he was in jail, he's been involved in a few disciplinary issues. One in particular deals with making threats to strike one of the corrections officers. Those are all factors indicating recidivism is more likely. Nothing makes it less likely. Count 2, which the defendant pled guilty to, is a felony of third degree that carries no presumption one way or the other. The court also notes for the count 1 that the defendant did, again, commit this offense while he was on probation and community control sanctions to Cuyahoga County, as well as to a municipal court. It was a Shaker, I think, Shaker Heights Municipal Court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Those are factors that override any presumption for community control. And looking at this, it's just clear the defendant's not amenable to community control sanctions. Another factor I didn't even find for recidivism is that he's failed to comply in the past with previously imposed sanctions. He's been on probation. He's violated multiple times. Every time he's on probation, he's shown that he's not amenable to probation. Prison is consistent with the purposes and principles of sentencing. Therefore, it will be the sentence to this court that on count 1, defendant served a term in prison of 12 months. On count 2, he served a term in prison of 24 months. Those will be served consecutive by law for an overall prison term of 3 years in prison. He has credit for 78 days he's already served. The court further finds that his operation of this vehicle was done willfully and did create a substantial risk of serious physical harm to persons, which makes this an offense of violence, and thus makes post-release control mandatory. Need to advise you upon your release from prison, you will be placed on post-release control for at least 1 year. Could be up to 3 years. If you violate any of the conditions of your post-release control, the parole authority can return you to prison. It's punishment for violating the rules for another 9 months, maximum being 50% of the term I just imposed. Any additional prison term imposed for violating post-release control is being imposed as part of the sentence at this time. Or disapproves the defendant's placement in a program of shock incarceration, intensive prison program, or transfer to transitional control. As to count 2, the court's going to suspend the defendant's driver's license for 5 years. The remaining counts of the indictment, 3, 4, 5, and 6, are hereby dismissed. Order the forfeiture of the firearm, or the defendant pay all costs incurred in this action. That covers everything. Is there anything I've omitted or need to address, Ms. Alessi?
No, Your Honor, I think that covers everything.
Ms. Tomaszek?
Yes.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right.
Radian Magwood, only 23 years old, stood before the court with a lengthy criminal history and a deeply troubled past. He spoke openly about his struggles with mental health, the trauma of losing his child, and his desire for one last chance. But the court wasn't just judging his words, it was looking at his actions. Despite multiple opportunities through probation, diversion programs, and support systems, Magwood continued to violate the law. His most recent offense involved fleeing from police at 113 miles per hour in a stolen vehicle while carrying a firearm, putting innocent lives at risk. The judge ruled that he was no longer suitable for community control, and sentenced him to 3 years in prison, with 78 days of credit for time already served, a 5-year driver's license suspension, mandatory post-release control, and forfeiture of the weapon. This case is a harsh reminder that while mental health and personal tragedy are real, they cannot excuse ongoing danger to the public. In the end, justice demanded accountability,